Hey, hey, hey. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch. For some reason, the mic was not placed in the right spot. But you know what? Let me move that a little bit more. There we go. Don't necessarily want it right in my face. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Tuesday, November 16th, 2021. This is live stream 717. This is your first time joining me. Let me point out, very, very casual. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and normally taking a peek at said tabletop games. So tonight's going to be a little bit different. In fact, this is the first time, and actually it'll be the last time too. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but it's the first time I've ever done a live Kickstarter preview. So tonight I am going to talk about two games that are currently up on Kickstarter for Daily Magic Games. There's actually a trio of games that are up on Kickstarter. I just didn't happen to see the third one. I didn't get a copy of the third one to do a review of. So I'm going to talk about two of them. First off, we've got Dice Kingdoms of Valeria, and then we have Thrones of Valeria. So stay tuned. I am going to be showing a bit of each of the games, talking about how to play and what I think of them. And the reason why it's the first and last time is because this is actually my last Kickstarter preview. Because as of January 1st, I will no longer be shooting Kickstarter previews. I'm all for sharing Kickstarter news. I'll talk about Kickstarter news on the show. I am just personally not going to shoot any more Kickstarter previews. Money has really soured all of the Kickstarter reviews and things like that. And to be honest, if I'm not doing any reviews or I shouldn't say reviews, previews, since I never call them reviews. But as long as I'm not doing any of those, then people won't be sitting there going, somebody must have paid you to say that about that game. All right. Anyway, so that's what's cooking tonight. Do want to mention, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live right here on YouTube, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central. Also let you know when I upload other videos, such as today's review of the 4th edition of Twilight 2000 from Free League Publishing. That's right. The video is in the can. It is done. It is just not live yet. So it is actually up on Kickstarter as I speak. So stay tuned for that. That will be live later on this evening. Probably before you see, if you happen to follow the Gaming Gang on Twitter, or if you visit thegaminggang.com a lot, it'll be actually posted before the official link for this stream is posted on thegaminggang.com. Of course, when you're not watching videos on thegaminggang.com, when you're not watching videos on YouTube, visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, this is a live stream. So that means chat is available. So if you want to say howdy, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. Chat is not on screen. I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. Plus, you also have to be a subscriber for at least 48 hours to comment. Another way that I keep some of the more unusual comments at bay. So let's see, who do we got tonight? The Madman, the Motor City Madman, is first out the gate in chat with us. Good to see you. John Bogle's with us. Sarah D has decided to say howdy. And Mr. Eddie T is saying hello by way of Sarah. All right, so let's see. So the Madman says a good number of Kickstarter reviews I see are from a select group of people. Yes, we've talked about that before. And every game they review is the best ever. Can't trust the reviews. And that's why I'm not going to do any more Kickstarter reviews. The previews. You know what I mean. Because I just don't want to be painted with that brush. I just don't. I mean, people don't agree with my reviews, and that's fine. And I screw things up when I'm talking about how to play a game and so on and so forth. But there's no way I would never take money to sit there and say, oh, yeah, this is great. And it wasn't. But yes, I know what the Madman's talking about. There's somebody else out there. Once again, not going to name any names, but I do notice from time to time because their quotes are always, included in a lot of Kickstarters. And it's always, oh, this is the best game I've played all year. Seriously? Come on, man. Give me a break. Or woman. Hey, I'm not saying it's necessarily a man. But it's like every Kickstarter or almost every Kickstarter you review is the best game I've played this year. That's BS. All right. Anyway. So the Madman says, love your honesty, Jeff. Integrity. That's why I'm here. I'm just a regular Joe. That's all it is. I do not put on airs or anything like that. If you see me at a convention, this is how I am. Probably a little goofier at conventions than I am here. So let's dive on into the news because we got a big show tonight. Arriving in stores from Pencil First Games is Floriferous. Here's the scoop. Explore a garden of colorful flowers as you pick arrangements. Your garden awaits. Spend the afternoon in your floriferous garden. Pour a cup of tea, relax, and enjoy this elegant game of picking, pairing, and arranging flowers. Take a leisurely stroll through a collection of gorgeous watercolor artwork. Find joy in the abundance of nature with flowers like daisies and tulips, along with friendly ladybugs, butterflies, and more. Picking flowers is a relaxing hobby that can result in some of the most beautiful arrangements. You'll have to plan carefully to see what others are collecting during their travels in the garden. Discover your favorite flowers and features on your journey. In Floriferous, players compete to pick and pair the best arrangements of flowers and other garden cards. You'll create sets and make interesting choices. At the end of the game, points are earned from a combination of arrangements, desires, bounties, sculptures, stones, and the very important cup of tea card. I'm not kidding. There really is a cup of tea card. It includes original watercolor illustrations, custom wooden pawns, and flower tokens. It's got simple and easy to learn rules and is fast moving and fun. I knew I was going to mess it up. I knew I was going to mess it up at least once. Plus, it doesn't help that I've got like a little cat hair stuck on my nose. It's like, get off me. Get off me. Alrighty. Floriferous is for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, plays in around 20 minutes, and does carry an MSRP of $24.99. So that is the retail edition. And I believe it is arriving in stores as we speak. But You can also score the exclusive early spring expansion if you order from the Pencil First website. So you get the game and the expansion, and it is $29.99. Sweet. Russell Higgins has joined us in chat. So has Flaming Huron. All right. Both of our chat moderators are with us this evening. Moving on to our next news piece. This month sees what I feel to be a pretty cool looking box set of miniatures from Reaper. And here's what I know about Bones Black henchmen and hirelings. Bones Black figures are made using a gray polymer plastic material. They're lightweight, slightly flexible, very durable, and extremely detailed miniatures designed for painters and gamers. You can paint the Reaper's Bones Black model straight out of the package. We advise rinsing your models with some warm soap and water, and once they're dry, you could begin painting. So that's really not right out of the box then, but I guess you could if you really wanted. So most of these figures do have integral bases. There are minimal mold lines, easy to cut apart for conversions or weapon swaps, and super glue works best to glue Bones Black together or to other materials. All major brands of putty have also been tested, and they work with Bones Black. This set includes figures such as a lantern bearer, a mapper, a scout, and more. I have to point out, I do see the gentleman with the 10-foot pole. There he is on the far left, the 10-foot pole bearer. Ah, that's old school. This 13-figure box set is going to carry an MSRP of $29.99 when it arrives this month. Have to point out that I've seen it even lower than that from online retailers. And I got to say, $29.99 for 13 minis, that is a smoking deal. And of course, the paint jobs on these are just top notch. Of course, it's from Reaper. What do you expect, right? So I get a kick out of it. Russell Higgins says, oh, yeah, you can paint them right out of the box, but wash them first. Yes. The Madman says, double the moderators, double the ban hammers, double the fun. All right. Well, luckily, very rarely do we ever have to ban anybody. On to some role-playing game news, because entering its final days on Kickstarter for Monte Cook Games is Planebreaker for 5e and the Cypher system. Here's the deets. Think the planes are just for high-level characters? The Planebreaker opens the way to characters of all levels. You can even begin your campaign on the Planebreaker with character species and subclasses from the Planebreaker itself and the many realities it is visited. Incarnates, for example, are tied to another dimension of being. Unlike Genasi and Asimart, that connection isn't to a specific extraplanar race, but rather to a particular concept, such as uncertainty, belief, or being. Incarnate are winged, their wings literally formed by glyphs representing this concept, glyphs that power their special abilities. Another example is the Traveler, a character born of another species, but somehow plane touched at birth. Travelers are marked by a fragment of a cosmic map etched tattoo-like on their skin. This is a source of power, but also an unending yearning to explore. Characters of any species can adopt planar subclasses, such as the Defacer Wizard, who calls upon nightmares to gain terrible powers and an aberrant familiar. The Shadow-Stitched Rogue, who has traded their own shadow for that of an extraplanar creature. The Chaos Blade Fighter, who wields a weapon drawn from elemental chaos. Or the Cosmic Judge Warlock, whose pact is made with the spirits of the multiverse itself. Path of the Planebreaker opens the full range of planar exploration to low, mid, and high-level characters. Path of the Planebreaker is a source book for 5th edition players and GMs that presents you with the wonders, terrors, mysteries, and treasures of dozens and dozens of new alternate worlds, plus the inexplicable Planebreaker itself. It includes a bestiary of planar creatures and new planar class options for players to add to their campaigns, as well as new subclasses, feats, spells, and player character species options. There is a 2+ minute Kickstarter video for Planebreaker. So let's take a look.
From time immemorial, the plains have been out of reach for all but the most experienced of adventurers. Simply reaching the plains requires magics or abilities available only to high-level characters. Until now, Path of the Planebreaker brings the plains to you. For adventurers of high, middle, and low level, even first-level characters can begin their campaign with access to the plains. The Planebreaker, an enigmatic, moon-like object that hurtles through the multiverse, crashing from one plane to the next, forever fleeing a catastrophe that predates existence itself. The Planebreaker visits all planes, all demiworlds, and all dimensions. Some are known to sages and planar travelers, but in a multiverse stretching across epochs, the number of previously uncatalogued planes is vast. The Planebreaker races through all of them in time. Upon the Planebreaker, the city of Timeborn sits astride the sea of uncertainty. Here, planar debris, creatures, refugees, and explorers rub shoulders. Here, the path embarks, leading those explorers to the vast array of planes the Planebreaker has visited. This, the Planebreaker, is your doorway to the plains.
The Planebreaker project is over 700% funded. You can reserve a copy of this source book for a $55 pledge. That, of course, is for a hardcover. Or you can score the PDF for a $25 pledge through November 19th. So, yes, you are in the final hours to support Planebreaker. Expected delivery is August of next year. Gotta say, this looks pretty interesting. As Omanal, who has joined us in chat, has pointed out, this looks like a pretty good setting. And they said from what they've seen, Monte Cook has put together a pretty good job with this. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff cooking with Monte Cook Games. One thing I have to admit that I find kind of interesting is how much 5e compatible material Monte Cook Games releases now. Something must have changed. Something must have changed at Wizards of the Coast. Because when Monty left Wizards of the Coast, he really didn't have any time for D&D and Wizards anymore. So something must have changed behind the scenes. Just kind of curious. I know some people have said, negative things about Monte Cook, but I've met him and he was super nice. So, whatever. So, I mean, I've heard of people who are like, oh, I would buy anything from Monte Cook Games. It's like, I don't know. He was super nice when I've met him, interviewed him. He was a lot of fun, actually. He was pretty funny. All right, let's move on to our next news piece, because talking about 5e, now available from Kobold Press, is Vault of Magic. Here's the skinny. A trove of powerful new magic for 5e. The wizard peered through the hole in the tunnel wall and into the darkness of the ancient vault beyond. She murmured a few arcane words, searching for any telltale magical auras. Then she gasped. What is it? The warrior demanded, holding the lantern and trying to look over her shoulder. What do you see? Something wondrous. Inside Vault of Magic, you'll find a vast treasure trove of enchanted items of every imaginable use, more than 900 in all. There are plenty of armors, weapons, potions, rings, and wands, but that's just for starters. From mirrors to masks, edibles to earrings, and lanterns to lockets, it's all here, ready for you to use in your 5th edition game. This 240-page volume includes more than 30 unique items developed by special guests, including Patrick Rothfuss, who? Gail Simone, who? Deborah Ann Wall, who? And Luke Gygax, who? I'm kidding. I know who all of them are. And so do you. Fabled items that grow in power as characters rise in levels. New item themes, such as monster-inspired, clockwork, and apprentice wizards. Hundreds of full-color illustrations. 25 treasure generation tables sorted by rarity, and including magic items from the core rules. Amaze and delight your players and spice up your 5th edition campaign with fresh, new enchanted items from Vault of Magic. It'll turn that next treasure hoard into something wondrous. Once again, the 240-page hardcover is available right now. You can get it for an MSRP of $49.99. You can get it together with the PDF for $54.99, which I keep saying, I swear, companies out there should give you a free PDF when you buy the physical book. I'm not picking on Kobold Press. I say it about any company that charges you extra for the PDF, even if it's $1. But you can snag the PDF alone over at Drive-Thru RPG for $29.99. I have to chuckle because I remember doing a news piece for this when it was up on Kickstarter. And it's funny because I remember the whole, what is it? What do you see? It's wondrous. This should be pretty cool. People love bestiaries, as long as there's some cool stuff in there. There's been some bestiaries that have popped up for different games that were just, awful. Just awful. It's like, I would never use that. That's never going to make an appearance in my games. But people love bestiaries and they love magic books. So magic spells and magic items. People can't get enough of them, even if they'll never use them. They'll never use any of it in their role-playing games. They still love picking them up to check them out. So let's see. Talaris, is that how it's pronounced? From Monte Cook Games? Because that is a massive role-playing setting, which is for 5e. I know they just recently released a 5e edition. Omanal says Polaris intimidates them because as they like more world exploration. Yeah, I think that's more of an urban setting. Madman says they played a bit of Polaris. Is it Tolus? Maybe it's Tolus. Played years ago and enjoy what they encountered, and it's a huge book. Yes, I know. It's a massive book. Anyway. So Omanal says, might use 10%, but the ideas get the creative juices flowing. Yes, I am right with you on that. Batman says, I love using magic and creatures from outside the core D&D books. Provide something new for my longtime players. Very, very possible. What I tend to do is, see, I'm lucky because my players don't have tons of experience with role-playing games outside of like Elliot. So I never tell them what a thing is. I describe what that thing is. And then they sit there and wonder, what the hell is that? Works very well. And, of course, using that with Call of Cthulhu, you can use that with D&D too, especially if you have newer players. Of course, if you have people who can recite stat blocks from the monster manual, then you're probably barking up the wrong tree. But still, just describing stuff might throw them off sometimes. Omanel asks, is the P silent? Usually something where it's like a PT, the P usually is silent. So Flaming Heron says, I generally like that companies like Cubicle 7 give you a PDF no matter where you bought them from. Yes, and Chaosium, if you buy it from Chaosium, they'll give you the PDF. So you've got that. Let's see, who else? I think Paizo does that. I'm not positive, but I think Paizo does that as well. Unless for some reason they've got me signed up for like a subscription. Well, I know they've got me signed up for a subscription deal, but I always get the PDFs of stuff that they send physical copies of. So I'm thinking maybe they do that as well. There's a lot of companies that do that. Modifius Entertainment, if I remember correctly, they put the code in the back of the book for the PDF. So it's a redemption code at Drive-Thru RPG, if I remember. Yeah, it is Drive-Thru RPG because I've given some of those away. All right, my final news piece. There is a new bundle of holding. There's actually another new bundle of holding I will talk about tomorrow. But this first one features Through the Breach from Wyrd Games. Here's the dope. Fated One. This new Wyrd Breach bundle presents the Through the Breach Lovecraftian Wild West steampunk tabletop role-playing game based on the Malifaux miniatures games from Wyrd Games. In the magic-saturated parallel world of Malifaux, you take on the roles of unique fated citizens, such as gunfighters, drudges, dabblers, and entertainers. Your destiny or fate is created during character creation and affects every aspect of your life. As the game progresses, the destinies of the fated entwine, driving you all toward a final reckoning. Will you fall to fate or cheat it? We offered Through the Breach in December 2016 and again in December 2018. This huge new bundle is our biggest yet, with all 5 expansion books and many adventures. For just $17.95, you get all 5 titles in the starter collection with a retail value of $100 as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete full-color 412-page Through the Breach 2nd edition core rulebook and 4 full-length Penny Dreadful adventures, ideal for introducing the gothic, necromantic, industrial city-state of Malifaux. If you pay more than the threshold price of $31.81, you'll level up and also get the entire bonus collection with 11 more titles worth an additional $164, including all 5 expansion book rule supplements from Nightmares, Above the Law, Into the Steam, Into the Bayou, and Under Quarantine, and 6 short Penny Dreadful one-shots designed for single-play sessions each. These savings will run through December 6th, and 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to the Cancer Research Institute. Nice. I gotta say, even though this bundle of holdings seems a little bit pricier to get on board than most, because a lot of times we see, like $9.95, $7.95, $12.95. There's a little bit more, but I believe, if I remember correctly, the PDF for the core book for Through the Breach is normally $40. Maybe it's $30. I could swear it's $40. So you figure even if you go all out and get everything in this bundle, it'll cost you less than the PDF for the core book. To me, that's a deal. I got to be honest, I have never taken a peek at Through the Breach. I know nothing about it. I have to point out, I've always thought that Malifaux has a very cool, unique art style to their miniatures games. And of course, with this as well. But I've never actually picked it up. Never taken a peek. Maybe one of these days I will. So moving right along, Russell says, I don't know anyone who's played that. Is it any good through the breach? Yeah, I think everybody's running the same thing like me. Flaming Aaron's like, yeah, they don't know anything about it. Don't know. Oh, nope. Now they retracted that message. All right, that is it for tonight's news. Even though I didn't talk about it, please keep in mind that the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to visit, say, Drive Through RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild or Storyteller's Vault, by all means, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. All those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. There are quite a few people out there who do use those banner links. So thank you very much. Always appreciated. Plus, if you like what I do, if you like the channel, if you like these videos, if you like the website, you can always buy me a cup of coffee or some soda by going over to paypal.me, M-E, / the Gaming Gang. And we have people from time to time who do that as well. So that is also much appreciated. Thank you. So Flaming Heron says, yep, they don't know anything about Through the Breach from Wyrd Games. Neither do I. I have no idea. It always looks pretty good. But once again, as I pointed out, I think somebody might want to jump on Drive Through RPG and take a peek. But I could have swore that the core book for Through the Breach is something like just the PDF is like $40 even, something like that. If it's not 40, it's 30, but I'm almost positive it's 40. All right, let me grab a quick sip here. So we're going to jump right on in to my Kickstarter previews for Thrones of Valeria and Dice Kingdoms of Valeria. So first off, Thrones of Valeria is designed by Matt Jacobs. Dice Kingdoms of Valeria is designed by Levi Moats. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. And both are from Daily Magic Games. There is a new Kickstarter that's out. It has a trio of games. For some reason, I didn't receive the third game. I don't know if they had run out of the prototypes they were sending or what, but I only had an opportunity to check out Thrones of Valeria and Dice Kingdoms of Valeria. So first off, we're going to look at Thrones of Valeria. It's for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 and up, plays in around 30 to 45 minutes. This Kickstarter actually has different levels. So if you want to get just one game, it's $30. If you want to get 2 of the 3 games, it's $55. And if you want to get all 3 games, it's $75. So let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Thrones of Valeria set up. And I'll kind of explain how to play the game. And I'll tell you what I think about it. So keep in mind, all of this is prototype materials. The game is finished, but for an example, we've got cards. These are just paper in sleeves. These are just little pieces of, I don't know if they were chalk or what, wrapped up in, for all I know, it could be rock hard candy, wrapped up in a little paper. These are supposed to be gold coins. I assume they're going to look very different than just little yellow bingo counters. And these are silver coins. So this is a trick-taking game. And we have 5 houses. So we have 5 suits in Thrones of Valeria. And each player is going to have a hand of cards. Now, that number of cards is going to be different depending on how many players are playing. I'm showing, like, if we were playing 3 players. So I'm actually going to push this up just a little bit. Let's just make sure that we keep that top house. Okay, so you can see that. All right. So what I've done is I've actually dealt hands to 3 players here. So we've got the 5 houses, so we've got 5 suits, and we have cards that run from 1 to 9. And like a standard trick taking game, whoever has the highest valued card of that suit is going to win the trick. So one of the interesting aspects of this game is each card has a special ability, except for the 3 Joker cards, which are above all other cards. So a Joker 1 is higher than any of the other cards. Joker 2 is, I shouldn't say any other cards. It's higher than any card other than the other Jokers. Joker 2 is higher than the standard suits as well as the Joker 1. And Joker 3 is the highest of all. But you have to pay to use those cards. And normally with the special abilities, you're not paying. All right. So to give you an idea, this game is supposed to be what they play in taverns in Valeria. And it's supposed to be like the dueling houses and the intrigue behind the scenes. But in reality, you're just playing cards and you're going to be moving these tokens that represent the houses. So what happens when somebody wins a trick is they're going to look at the color of that suit, and whatever is here on the board is what they're going to gain or pay. At the end of 2 full turns, you're going to end up tallying up your money, and whoever's got the most money is the winner. Plain and simple. So to kind of give you an idea. So we got a hand here. Of course, with fewer players, you're going to get more cards. And let's say that player decides they're going to play. Let's see what we got here. Do we want to right away go with something big? No, let's do this. So they're going to play this card here, and this card is the Sorceress. So you get to gain a coin. So whenever it says a coin, you're going to take this. You're going to take silver. If you have 5 silver, you can cash it in to get gold. So this is the yellow suit, and this allows the character to gain a coin immediately. So they have little icons on here. So now the next player, oh, I'm sorry. And then I have to also discard a card. So, yeah, I might as well discard that. Well, leave it face up. Next player would be like, okay, what do I got? What do I got? So, of course, you know, you got to play, if you have it, you got to play the color. Ooh. So they have 9. This is the matriarch. And you can move 1 house up 2 spaces and then drop them down. So with the 9, this would be a very good chance that the second player is going to win this trick. And they get to move 1 house up 2. Well, it's yellow. Just like so. So now they look like they are going to get 5 coins. Let's take a look, see what we got with this player here. Well, they got an 8, but what's the point of wasting that? So we got a 4. And the 4 is the rogue, which allows you to swap positions of 2 houses on the board, on the standing board, which is here. Well, they know they're not going to win the trick, so you might as well do this. Bring that yellow down. So now instead of gaining 5 coins, they're going to gain 3 coins. Just like so. And place them there. So whoever won the trick is now going to lead off this next one. So we have the Jokers, which I actually put off to the side. So the Joker's here. Only ability, special ability they have is the fact that they trump any other card, is basically how it works, except for other Jokers. So Joker 1 trumps every other suit and number except for these two. But to play it, you have to pay a silver. Not from the supply either. I was just grabbing that from there. Joker 2, it's going to cost you 2. Joker 3 is going to cost you 3 coins in order to play it. So those are the Joker cards. So we have different cards. So we've got like the Assassin, and the Assassin, even though it's only a 1, you can play it and you can move one house all the way down to the bottom. So this is a great card to be utilizing if you know, well, I'm not going to be winning this trick. So play it and then move the yellow all the way down to the bottom and cost the winner coins as opposed to winning coins. So all of the cards have special abilities except for the 6. It has a special ability, but you don't get to activate it when you play it. So if you win the trick, you get 6 coins. So if you win the trick with a 6, you get 6 coins. And that's what that one does. So that is, in essence, what you're looking at as far as gameplay. So to give you an idea of what everything does. So the Assassin, you get to move something all the way down to the bottom. The Thief or the Rogue, you get to swap spaces with any 2 houses. The number 3, which is a Mercenary. All right, come on. Where we got a 3 here? Seriously? All the 3s are going to be, oh, or maybe in here. There we go. So the Mercenary is going to gain you 3 coins. Then, I'm sorry, the Thief, you take 2 coins from an opponent's. That's the number 2. Number 4 is the Rogue. That's the one you get to swap. Kind of surprised that they used Thief and Rogue. Then the rank 5 is the Hunter, which allows you to draw 3 cards from the deck, take a look at them without showing any players, add one of those cards to your hand, and the other 2 to the bottom of the deck. We've got the Alchemist. That's the number 6, where you get the 6 coins. Number 7 is a Sorceress. You gain a silver coin and discard a card. You get number 8 is the Caduteur, which you can effectively lock or unlock a house. So if I were to play one right here, I could say, okay, I'm locking this. Now, the reason why I'd be doing that is if somebody were to play the Rogue, remember, they get to swap 2 houses. This is this color here. So I want to win. I don't want to be paying. So if somebody were to play a Rogue, and remember, you have to play a card of the color that's being played for that trick if you have it in your hand. If you don't have that color, you can play any card. But if you have that color, you have to play that card. So if somebody had the Rogue, well, they would have a couple options. They could switch these 2 or switch those 2, but they couldn't switch here and they couldn't switch here. So that's one of the reasons why you would lock it with this character here, the 8. It also unlocks it, so allows it to be moved around. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. So when you lock it, that's only for the trick you're playing. It's not like until somebody unlocks it. And then we've got the Matriarch, which is the 9 here, that allows us to move one house up 2 spots and then move everybody else down. So, like so. And once again, once you play through 2 full turns, which is essentially a couple of decks, you're looking at totaling up all of the coinage, and whoever's got the most money is the winner. And in the case of a tie, it's a shared victory. And that is essentially how to play good old Throne of Valeria. I like this. I think it's pretty cool. I do like Thrones of Valeria, I should say. I'm the first to admit I'm not a fan of trick-taking games. I never have been. And, I mean, they're okay, but I don't like go running out of my way to play them because usually there's not much going on to them. I have to say that we liked playing Thrones of Valeria. I played it with my sister-in-law. I played it with my mom and my nephew, Cameron, who was in town, and we played a 4-player game and had a lot of fun. I would say that you probably would want to have as many players as you can in a game. You can play as few as 2. I would assume that would be all right, but I would certainly say 4 or more. You're going to have a whole lot of stuff going on. A lot of chaos going on each trick because everybody's going to be playing cards that have special ability. Houses are going to be shifting all over the place. So definitely like this one. And think it would be a trick-taking game that I wouldn't necessarily complain about playing. So we've got that. All right, I'm just moving some stuff out of the way here so we can take our next look at Dice Kingdoms of Valeria. All right, this doesn't have a whole lot of stuff, so let me just grab. Okay. All right, let me kind of set this up. So this is our castle sheet. This is our map sheet. It's kind of funny. You can put your name up here. You could put your kingdom's name. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can get a much better look at these sheets. I don't want to be cutting it off here, though. There we go. That should be okay. And I'll put these all the way down, right? There we go. And we'll use this for the statues. Put those like so. Doesn't really matter if you see the top of these statues or not. There we go. So we got 6 of those. And then we've got our dice. So this is a roll and write. And so the madman says, hope Cameron's doing well. Yeah, he's doing great. He is down in Peoria, Illinois right now, which is going to be his base. So after he finished up his training in that, he has to spend 30 days down there. But he's been up a couple of weekends already. So it's not like he's got to stay there on base. Omenal says, only the thought of playing games kept him going, apparently. Apparently he was running his own brand of D&D, which I keep telling him, do not call it D&D because what you're running is not Dungeons and Dragons. It's Cameron's fantasy role-playing game. So, which I guess has been a hit. All right, so this is a roll and write game. And it is very easy to jump into, to learn how to play. And I do have to point out, you have to pay attention, though. Because as you can see, and I will, when I'm done talking about the game, I'll zoom in and I'll show you. We have all these different colored and different kind of like little icons that we're supposed to fill in. And they represent all different things. So this is your castle. So we've got up here, we have our citizens and what they are. So we have like the clergy, or, well, it's a fantasy setting. So like clerics, and we have soldiers, and we have craftsmen or workers, laborers, and we also have shadow, which must be our magical forces, right? So we have these 4 areas here. These are our guilds. So that's holy. That is worker. This here is the shadow. And then here we have soldiers. So we start off up here. We've got 5 and 6. So we have a soldier and we have a laborer or worker. We'll just say laborer. And every time we roll dice, so each turn you're going to roll all these dice, but you're only going to do one thing. Well, 2 things really, but everybody's going to get to utilize a couple of these dice. So this over here, this is the map. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to take over domains, and we're filling in little road spaces here. So I'm going to actually roll my dice on top of this to give you an idea what we're looking at. So these black dice, everyone's going to get to utilize those black dice. So we do 2 things. We're going to look at these separately, and then we're going to look at them together. So we've got a 3, and we have no citizens for 3. We got a 4. We have no citizens for the 4 spot, and 7. We have no citizens. So nothing happens there. But now we get our other dice. So the yellow die allows us to add a citizen. The green die allows us to mark off areas of this map. So we're actually going down these roads, and you have to start off from one of these 4 spots up top here. That's used to fight monsters. So the red die is our monster die. Then our blue die is our magic die that we're allowed to add if we want to any of the other dice that we decide to use. So what we probably want to do is we probably want to add more citizens. And let's see if this pen is actually going to work. Find out in a second. Yes. Okay. Maybe not so great on this table like it is, but so what I could do is I could either get a 6 and actually get another soldier, and then you're going to see that these little icons here that we're going to fill in represent something else. So this is a bonus. So if it's not just a regular old circle with black ink, then it's going to give us some sort of a bonus. So as a bonus here, we would fill this out, and this actually gives us a soldier on the wall. So we have the wall over here. So you're filling up all these different things. So here, these are soldiers on the wall. And every time we fill in a star, that's worth a victory point. Here we've got gold. Here we've got the different guilds. We've got our monster hunting here as well. We've got our statues. Here we have more of the monster fighting. And then we have the different regions where we could mark off a bunch of spaces on our map. Now, once you reach a location, you can't go any further. So example, if I use that 5 and I wanted to to go down onto these roads, the most I can get out of it is 3. And the rest is lost. Because once you reach a location, a region that we take over, you're going to circle it, and then you're going to get that benefit. So here we've got the benefit here is you can either add or subtract 1 from the red die, or the green die, or the blue die, or the yellow die. We get other things that allow us to change the face of a colored die. We get any die we can change 1 plus or minus. Then we got monsters down here. And then these are basically, we're out there killing monsters. And this gains us victory points if we are the first or second to fill these up. So as an example, let's just say I go ahead and I say, yeah, you know what? I'm going to take a 10. I'm going to fill this in. And when I filled it in, it's got a little gold circle. So that means, oh, okay. So I go over to the gold, and as a bonus, I get to fill that in. That'd be the end of my turn. Super fast. Then somebody else, they do their turn. And now we look at, okay, 1, 3, 4, nothing. All right, so then they would do their turn. Then it's back to me. And I get 7. So I've got 3. I don't have anybody. 4. Don't have anybody. Now I'd be back to, do I add another citizen? Do I decide to do a road? Do I decide to fight some monsters? And with the monsters here, you'll notice it's a number range 1 to 6. So if I wanted to take off this first one right here, I could. And that would allow me to mark off a road because it's a little green square. And I'd finish up one of these. Or I could choose to mark off one road, which that's not worth anything really. Or I could add my magic die and make it 5. Or I could add my magic die and make that 7. Or I could go with another 5, which would allow me to have, I would then have 2 citizens. So if a 5 comes up, I get double. So this allows me to build a road piece, or, oops, what am I doing there? Oops, it was a 5, or I can take a 9, right? So I already have 1. So what I think I'm going to do, because a lot of times you want to add the citizens. I'll take that. Then I'm going to fill in a road spot. And let's go here. Then the other player does their thing. Ooh. So we get a 5 and a 6 and 11. So thankfully, everybody's going to get to do this. So 5, yes. Whoops. We actually have these. So that allows us to mark off a spot for the laborer up here. Nope, right there. So it's just a regular circle. Gives us no bonus. Then we get the 6. Hey, look, we got a soldier. So we're going to mark off the soldier. It's a regular circle. Doesn't give us anything exciting. But hey, at least we're filling these in finally. So what you're going to do is you're going to continue playing until somebody gets 3 of the 4 guilds filled in. That's going to activate the final turn. And everybody's going to make sure that they all got a turn once the person who fills in the 3 essentially triggers the end game. So once everybody's taken their turn, now you're going to tally up victory points. And here's the thing. You could easily be the person who triggers the end game and lose. because it's all about victory points. Some of those victory points come by way of these statues, which you can earn by filling in tracks. Which these are all end of the game victory points that do different things. So you can get victory points for every soldier, 3 victory points for every holy person, 3 victory points for every statue, including that statue. So we've got those and some extras. So once somebody gets a statue, you lay out 6. Somebody takes one, you replace it, unless they're all gone. And we have 2 sets. So we've got a couple of sets of these statues. So you're gonna tally up all the victory points. So you got victory points from the statues, you got victory points from the stars that you fill in, these little purple stars here. Those are each worth a victory point. You have victory points for your monsters that you've defeated. So as you knock these out, you're going to have victory points from them, and also from claimed domains. So every region that you've claimed, they're called domains. I kept calling them regions. You're going to get victory points for those as well. There is also, they're over here. Got to grab them. And this is only part of the Kickstarter. So I understand the retail game is just going to be like so. But if you back it on Kickstarter, you're going to also get the winter edition of this. And the monsters are actually more difficult to defeat. And your castle's set up a little bit differently as well. So that is something that's a Kickstarter exclusive as far as I understand. So let's zoom in, get a better look at these little sheets here. So there's your castle. And once again, you've got your citizens, you've got gold, you've got holy, laborers, shadow, warriors on the soldiers that are on the wall. You've got your statues, you've got your monster hunting, which carries over to here as well. And then this is the road. So as an example, if I got to here, then I would now be able to change the face of the blue die by one number. Then down here, if I went this way, that would give me a holy person. So I get to fill out the little holy person. So what I get a kick out of is that you can end up doing stuff where it's like you fill in one little pip, and then it's like, oh, that's a bonus. And you go, oh, okay, so I'm going to fill out oh, and that gives me a bonus. And I'm over here, oh, and that gives me a bonus. So one thing I should also point out is when you defeat the group of monsters, if you slay one of the monster pips, if you only used the red die, you actually get a gold piece. If you had to use the magic die, you only get the thing that you marked off. And essentially, that's Dice Kingdoms of Valeria, which I really like. I know, probably the way I was explaining it maybe wasn't exactly thrilling, but think about all the different roll and write games that are out there. Another genre of games that a lot of people feel really there isn't much to them. This has a bit going on, because when you're rolling your dice, you only get the one action. Well, you get the harvest is with the 2 black dice, but the other 4 dice, you only get to use one of them. Well, plus the magic die if you want. And I really like that. So you're sitting, you got to figure out, oh, let's see, do I do this? Because that's going to get me this, which leads to getting that, which opens up that. So you're actually kind of studying these little sheets a lot more than you would expect. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. There are solitaire rules as well. I did not play this solitaire, amazingly enough. This was something that I played with Cameron and my niece. So Madison played as well. So it was the three of us. And you're really not doing anything to the other players. You're you're just kind of doing your own thing. So there's no take that involved in Dice Kingdoms of Valeria. So if you're concerned about that kind of stuff, some people don't like take that. Some people don't like any confrontation in their games. Thrones of Valeria, there's a bit of take that, which basically you're just kind of moving those houses around, but you can screw people over pretty good. So that doesn't happen with Dice Kingdoms of Valeria. Madman says, looks like fun. Never played a roll and write. Not sure how I feel about them, so I've avoided them so far. I would recommend try one. I would recommend try a roll and write game. As much as I hate to say this, I wouldn't necessarily go and get any of the Stronghold Games roll and writes if you don't like abstract games, because the roll and writes that Stronghold has, and they've done well, they're all super abstract. There's no theming to it. Granted, do you feel like you're running a kingdom? No, absolutely not. But you're not just filling in, oh, here's a number here, there's this, there's that. What is it? Isn't it Welcome To? Isn't that a roll and write? Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But there are some that actually look really cool as far as having a little bit of theme to them. But there's a bit going on here, and there is some decision making. It's not like some games where it's just like, oh, I assigned this die, I assigned this die. You may have 3 dice that are all excellent choices. You can only do one. So out of the 2, I like Dice Kingdoms of Valeria quite a bit more than I do Thrones of Valeria. But I also like Thrones of Valeria. Don't get me wrong. I don't dislike it. As I mentioned when we were talking about it and taking a look at it, I'm not really a big fan of trick-taking card games. And I like that one. We had a good time playing it. So, and because it's got the little extra little actions with those cards, every time you play a card, something's happening with that card. So I can give 2 thumbs ups. I don't give review scores, the Kickstarter stuff, but I enjoyed both those games. So you can take that for what that means. Also, do want to point out the last time I'm doing any kind of Kickstarter preview. That's it. I'm done. Finished. Washing my hands of it. And Daily Magic Games has nothing to do with that. The folks at Daily Magic Games have always been super nice. They have sent along quite a few. I think this is the third or fourth time that I've done a Kickstarter preview for them. And so that has nothing to do with me not doing Kickstarter previews anymore. I explained why a little bit earlier. All right, so as I had mentioned, if you're tuning in later on, let me grab it. I got stuff all over the place here. Stay tuned. My review of Twilight 2000 will be up a little later on tonight. So that also means tomorrow is a War Game Wednesday, and we're going to be taking a first look at Absolute War from GMT Games. This is the Eastern Front. It's got some heft to it as well. And this doesn't look like your traditional Hex Encounter war game either. So I'm very interested in checking this out. Looks pretty cool. So we'll be taking a look at that tomorrow. Also do want to point out, you may recall last week, I did a news piece about Brian Burrow, from Osprey Games. It's a new kind of medium weight Euro game that's arriving. Well, it arrived. So there we go. So we're going to look at this on Monday. That will be our Monday show. So Daniel Silverthorne is with us in chat. Russell Higgins is here. Disavowed 92 has popped in as well. Flaming Heron says they're looking forward to the Twilight 2000 video. I pretty much tell it like it is. Now, I'm not saying that's positive or negative. I'm just saying I tell it like it is. And I also talk about where I think one of the major shortcomings is going to be for this 4th edition of Twilight 2000 as well. You'll have to tell me if you agree with me or not, especially if you're familiar with the original or even 2nd edition of Twilight 2000, because it was kind of a stumbling block for those editions as well. So Daniel says, Wednesday again. I have to cancel my meeting and make your Wednesday show. Or you can just watch after the fact. It's okay. All right, that is it for tonight's show. If you like this video, by all means, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the dispatch airs live, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. I'll also let you know when I upload other videos as well, such as the aforementioned Twilight 2000 video that'll be up tonight. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you, everyone who hung out watching live. Always appreciate you keeping me company. Of course, I also know there are a lot of people out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch the stream live. Maybe they're even watching on Memorex. Regardless, I certainly appreciate them as well. I really got to say thank you to everybody who takes time out to watch any of the videos. Always appreciate it. So once again, I'll be back tomorrow for a first look at Absolute War from GMT Games. Of course, until I see you next, here's hoping each and every one of you always gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang. See you tomorrow. Oh, you're still here. Well, while you're kicking it, how about subscribing to the Gaming Gang channel? Or seeing the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch? Or finding out what YouTube recommends you check out here at my channel? And of course, don't forget, get your geek on at thegaminggang.com.